What if I told you that a single piece of cloth could speak louder than words? A fabric so powerful that it tells your history, reveals your status, and carries the wisdom of your ancestors without you ever saying a thing. This is Kente cloth. More than fashion, more than fabric, it is the woven soul of the Akan people of Ghana and Togo, an ancient storytelling tradition that continues to shine across the world today. Stay tuned because we'll uncover the origins of Kente, its sacred symbolism, its role in royal courts and everyday lives, and how it became a global icon of African identity. The story of Kente begins not with royalty or wealth, but with the earth itself. Early versions of the cloth were made from simple plant fibers, cotton, raffia, and bark. Legends say that two hunters, deep in the forest, came across a spider weaving its web. Inspired, they returned to their village and tried to replicate the spider's delicate artistry with thread. Whether myth or history, one thing is clear. From those humble beginnings, Kente grew into a cultural treasure. Transformation came in the 17th century. Trade routes opened, bringing silk from North Africa and Europe. Later, colorful dyes and improved looms arrived. Suddenly, Kente wasn't just cloth anymore. It became art. It became status. It became power. From the forest myth of the spider's web to the royal courts of the Ashanti, Kente had evolved into a visual language of identity and legacy. Kente is not just made, it is crafted. Among the Ashanti, weaving is a sacred skill, traditionally passed from father to son. Among the Iwi, both men and women practice the art. Apprentices spend years learning patience, precision, and the cultural meanings behind every thread. The technique? Strip weaving. Narrow strips, about 4 inches wide, are created on a horizontal treadle loom. These strips are then sewn together, edge to edge, forming large, dazzling cloths. Modern Kente may use cotton, silk, metallic threads, or synthetics, but no matter the material, the soul of the fabric remains the same. Intricate design fused with deep meaning. And as we'll see next, every color and every pattern speaks a language of its own, turning Kente into a cloth of wisdom, beauty, and power. Here's where it gets fascinating. Kente is not just about beauty, it's a language. Every color is a word, every pattern is a proverb. Together, they tell a story. Gold means wealth, royalty, and prosperity. Green stands for growth, fertility, and renewal. Red signifies blood, sacrifice, and passion. Blue is peace, harmony, and love. Black represents maturity, heritage, and the ancestors. White is purity and spirituality. And maroon speaks of healing and protection. Imagine attending a ceremony and instantly knowing someone's story, not from their speech, but from the cloth draped over their shoulders. That's the silent power of Kente. The colors alone can reveal whether someone is celebrating life, mourning loss, honoring ancestors, or marking a milestone. But the colors are only the beginning. The patterns themselves hold even deeper meaning, carrying the wisdom of proverbs and the memory of history. Take Adwanasa, meaning my thoughts are exhausted. It represents creativity and complexity, woven into dazzling forms that challenge the eye and mind. Or Sika Futuru, known as gold dust, a shimmering sign of wealth and prosperity. Then there's Kiemfere, or potsherds, reminding us of the fragility of life and the inevitability of change. And finally, Fianco, the warlord's cloth, once reserved for chiefs, symbolizing courage, leadership, and authority. Each piece of Kente is like a library. Every strip, every weave, every stitch carries wisdom handed down from ancestors. The deliberate combination of colors and motifs creates a fabric that is not random, but purposeful, carefully designed to communicate identity, heritage, and values. This is why Kente is often called the cloth of kings, because its richness lies not only in its beauty, but in the knowledge and power it holds. The artistry of Kente teaches us that design is never just decoration. It is language, it is history, and it is philosophy, interwoven into threads that endure far beyond the moment of weaving. The cloth is not merely worn, it is spoken, performed, and lived.
In Akan society, Kente was never just clothing. It was an event. Large, elaborate cloths woven with expensive silk threads were reserved for kings, queens, and high-ranking officials. During the enstoolment of a chief, specific patterns signified lineage, authority, and the sacred weight of leadership. The draping of kente over a chief was more than fashion. It was an embodiment of ancestors, power, and responsibility. But kente is also deeply personal. At weddings, graduations, and funerals, wearing kente connects individuals to their heritage and community. It marks transitions, honors loved ones, and symbolizes unity. Sometimes the cloth speaks when words cannot, conveying grief, pride, hope, or joy. It becomes a bridge between personal identity and collective values. And let's not forget its spiritual role. Many weavers believe that the act of weaving itself is sacred, connecting them to divine inspiration. Some even believe the cloth carries protective energies, blurring the line between fabric and spirit. A woven strip of kente may look like thread and dye, but for many, it holds energy, history, and ancestral blessings. In this sense, every piece of kente carries both physical and spiritual weight. It's not only about what you see, but also about what you feel, what you believe, and what you inherit. To wear kente is to clothe yourself in history, spirituality, and meaning far greater than fabric. When you realize this, you begin to understand why kente holds such a powerful place in Akan culture, and why it has survived, adapted, and flourished across centuries of change.
Today, kente is both timeless and modern. On one hand, traditional designs remain sacred, carrying the old proverbs and meanings. On the other, artisans experiment with new motifs, colors, and uses, appearing in fashion shows, graduation stoles, accessories, and even home decor. Kente weaving has also become an important source of income. International demand empowers artisans and sustains families. But with this global reach comes challenges. Cultural appropriation threatens the authenticity of kente, as mass-produced imitations sometimes strip away its meaning. Ensuring fair compensation for weavers is also a pressing issue. Organizations now work to protect intellectual property, connect artisans with global markets, and promote the true heritage of kente in a modern world. Still, despite these challenges, the essence of kente remains: identity, wisdom, and resilience, woven into every thread. It continues to inspire new generations who wear it not just as fashion, but as a proud statement of who they are and where they come from. Kente also plays a role in Pan-African identity. Across the diaspora, from the United States to the Caribbean, kente stoles are worn at graduations, symbolizing cultural pride, academic achievement, and ancestral connection. What began in Ghana has become a global emblem of African heritage, resilience, and strength. This modern journey shows us that kente is not frozen in the past. It adapts, evolves, and expands, without losing its spiritual and cultural roots. It is a cloth of continuity, linking yesterday to today and carrying identity into the future. Kente is more than a cloth. It is a storybook, a royal robe, a sacred shield. It is the memory of ancestors, the pride of a people, and the wisdom of centuries, woven into dazzling patterns that continue to inspire the world. When you see kente, you are not just looking at fabric. You are looking at philosophy, history, and identity wrapped in vibrant colors and complex designs. This is why every piece of kente feels alive. It carries the thoughts of its weaver, the energy of its community, and the wisdom of generations. It is never random. It is always intentional. The patterns speak, the colors sing, the cloth remembers. So the next time you see a piece of kente, remember, it's not just fabric, it's a voice of history, identity, and unshakable cultural pride. From humble origins inspired by a spider's web to global recognition as a symbol of African heritage, kente has remained one of the most powerful visual languages in the world. And its story is still being woven. New threads are added every day, threads of pride, resilience, and creativity. From the looms of weavers in Ghana and Togo to fashion runways across the world, kente continues to thrive, adapt, and inspire. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of kente cloth, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that uncover the hidden wisdom of African traditions. Because in every thread of Africa's history, there is a story waiting to be told.